Hello, everyone. It's Pastor Joe Drew, and it is Wednesday night, which means we're going to be talking about what's going on for the week. We're going to talk about your discussion and your assignment. So, as week 2 was about the kings, week 3 is about the prophets. You're going to learn all about the prophets. And prophets are just individuals in the Old Testament that were used by God to spread a message, usually to nations. And one of the things that we're going to be looking at this week is how relevant are those messages from the prophets? How relevant are those in today's society? So that's just week 3 in a nutshell. So let me jump right to it. I'm going to go over the discussion, and then over here I have my rubric for the discussion. Let me pull it up though. And I'll go over a couple things, and then we'll hit the assignment and I'll be done. So on the week 3 discussion, I'll just read it as is on the original post here. It says, after watching the 3 videos, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Job. So there are 3 videos to watch. Those are short videos. If you've watched the videos so far, they're good. They're good videos to watch. They're not boring. You don't fall asleep or anything like that. Take some notes, jot some notes down while you're watching those so you can put those into discussion as well. So it says, after watching the 3 videos, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Job, discuss how these 3 books of the Old Testament are related. That's what we're looking for. You want that in your original post. But then also select a passage from Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, or Job. So just one of them. Select a passage from Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, or Job. So think about this. A passage is a group of scriptures. It's not just one scripture, okay? It's saying select a passage. A passage is going to be, most Bibles are grouped into different passages. So there's multiple passages that might make up a chapter. So that's what I'm looking for. So once again, not just one verse. I'm looking for the passage there. Select a passage from Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, or Job that speaks to you. Share why it speaks to you and how you apply it, or how you would apply it, or how you should apply it to your life. I'll take any one of those. And then write in complete sentences, use proper APA citations for all sources. So I don't want to just skip past the APA citation stuff. I just want to say very quickly, though, in your discussions, many of you do so great with doing the references in the discussion. If you put references down at the bottom, you have to have your citations in your original post, okay? Because when you just put your references at the bottom, it doesn't let me know where you used it in your post. So that's why the citations say, hey, here's where I used the reference. Here's where I summarized what so-and-so said. So keep that in mind. And then you want to keep also in mind, I'm going to jump over to the rubric here because we'll talk about some of the requirements there. Obviously, original post made by day 3. Well, day 3 is, what's today? Wednesday. Day 3 is tomorrow, Thursday. And that's the same every week. You want to have your original post in by Thursday, if you can, or earlier even, for the full credit of points for that due date. Of course, webpage says by day 4. Rubric says by day 3. One meets the expectations, but the rubrics exceed the expectations, and that's how you get full credit for your work. So then it also talks about the number of response posts. And so hopefully by now you kind of have an idea of what the response posts are. I'll talk about the difference between response and reflection. Your response posts are, so after I do my original post, I want to go find at least 3 other people's original posts, and I'm going to comment on theirs, okay? That's a response when I respond to their original post, and I need to do at least 3 of those. So 3 or more response posts, and then it says also you need to have 2 or more reflection posts. Well, the reflection posts are you having dialogue with people who have responded to your original post, okay? So anytime you address somebody on your original post, that's a reflection post. And here's something to keep in mind, a couple things on the requirements here. You want to do your response and reflection posts you want to spread them out on 3 separate calendar days to get full credit. And I get it, there's schedules and there's times and circumstances. At the end of the day, if you did everything on one day because something is better than nothing and you were not going to be able to post any other time during the week, then that's what you got to do. Ideally, to help the conversation go better in the discussions, it asks for students to post on 3 separate days, so that helps. And then also, your original post needs to be at least 150 words. I think everybody does a great job on that. You guys go above and beyond there. And then your response posts, your response and reflection posts need to be at least 75 words. And for the most part, everybody does good with that. So keep that in mind. And then this last thing here on the rubric that I want to mention is if you want full credit for your work, you have to provide references. And by references, I mean a reference at the end, but citations in your response and reflection post. So every post you do, from your original post to your 3 response posts to your 2 reflection posts, everything needs to have references. Now that can be something as simple as a scripture. Posting scripture in your response and reflection post will help you get more points than just putting, hey, I agree with you and here's why, but there's no reference to course material or scripture. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, jumping over to the assignment. And this assignment's going to look a lot like week 2 because it's in 2 parts, right? There's a part 1 and part 2 for week 3 assignment as well. So you might have a better idea of the type of structure we're looking for here. So it says here, part 1, I'm going to get the rubric ready for assignment 3. Okay. Part 1, it says create a list of prophets for the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom and include in the list the kings to whom they prophesied. Now, I'll go over what the rubric says in a minute, but the rubric adds some things to that part 1, okay, that you don't want to miss, but I'll hit that in a second. So once again, you're just creating a list of prophets, but don't forget to include the kings to whom they prophesied, all right? In part 2, this is the paragraph part, your essay part. And I know that a word count was missing in the week 2 assignment. It's also missing in week 3, but I do want to address that. Many of you reached out to me and said, hey, how long does the essay part need to be? Well, the answer is at least 500 words. And even those who didn't ask, everybody did a great job on that. As I've looked over some of those papers, I'm getting ready to grade those, but everybody did a good job. So in the APA formatted word essay, this is part 2, address the following questions for 3 of the northern kingdom prophets and, so it's not or, it's and, 3 southern kingdom prophets of your choosing. So, after you have your list of the prophets in the northern kingdom and the prophets of the southern kingdom, you need to pick 3 from the northern and 3 from the southern. So now you have 6 prophets that you're going to be asking the same questions over. So, that's a great way to break up your paragraphs in your essay part. You're going to write probably well over 500 words because this is loaded. So with your 6 prophets, 3 from the north and 3 from the south, you need to write on these questions, address these questions. What was occurring at the time the prophet delivered the message? What was the message of the prophet? Include the scripture passage where the message is located. Now remember, a passage is not just a verse. It's usually, it's going to be like Jonah chapter 2, verse 1 through chapter 4, verse 2. That's the passage. You want to find the passage, include the scripture passage where the message is located. So what's the message of that prophet? And then another question, what do you think that prophet's message would be to America today? And another question, is a prophetic voice important in our contemporary society? So you have 5 questions to ask on 6 different prophets, 3 from the north, 3 from the south. But then there is more, okay? Because it also says down here, Daniel did not prophesy to the southern kingdom prior to their captivity. However, he was a major prophet to the Babylonian kings while the southern kingdom was in captivity. His messages have significant connections to the book of Revelation. And maybe you knew that, maybe you didn't. But the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation, there's a lot of similarities with them because there's a lot of portions of the book of Daniel in the book of Revelation. So it's asking here, discuss how the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation are related. It says, see pages 246 and 435 in your textbook. So I'm going to jump over to the rubric for the assignment. And give yourself some time on this assignment this week. So even though it's like the second assignment, this assignment gets a little bit more packed with content and information. So, okay. One thing on the rubric for the assignment, obviously, is spelling and punctuation. You guys do great with that. On the incorporation of source material. So this is on your references and citations, okay? So if you want full credit for your work, it says your assignment has to contain 5 or more citations from the textbook or additional academic resource, okay? So 5 citations from the textbook or other sources, maybe you find a web page or something like that, and 5 or more citations from Scripture. So you should have 10 citations in this assignment, okay? And please put those in the essay because don't put them in the list. When you list your prophets, don't put that you got it from Verghese 2009. Use your references in your essay because that helps me know you understand the material, because you either need to do a direct quote, paraphrase, or summarize, and you can't do that when you're providing a list, okay? So please save all those 10 references for your essay part. Okay. Now, on the content, on your rubric, it says students list 100% of the prophets and identifies the kings to whom they prophesied, or the king to whom they prophesied, because each prophet has a king to whom they prophesied to. But then it also says here, students also identify the years of the prophet's ministry. Remember in week 2, last week, you had to list the kings, but then you also had to list the reign of the kings, how many years that they reigned and ruled over the nation. So this week, it's list of prophets, the kings they prophesied to, and the years that the prophet had a prophesying ministry. And it's all there. And I know you can be sitting here being like, oh my goodness, this is so detailed. But it's all in your book. I expect some questions this week. If you need help, let me know. And then I'm going to jump down to content part 2. In content part 2, remember those 5 questions we talked about? It says, what was occurring at the time of the prophet? And you're going to write these 5 questions on 6 prophets, 3 from the north, 3 from the south. What was occurring at the time the prophet delivered the message? What was the message of the prophet? Include the scripture passage, not just verse, but the passage where the message is located. Number 4, what do you think the prophet's message will be to America today? Number 5, is a prophetic voice important in our contemporary society? And number 6, how are the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation related? And then at the bottom here of content part 2, it says responses, to get full credit, responses need to be detailed. So don't just write, one sentence. Kind of write some thoughts on those. Responses are detailed and demonstrate excellent understanding of course material. And then here's where a lot of people miss. The student provides examples of changes each prophet might say need to occur in America today. That's bonus. But I can't give you full credit if you don't answer that. So really, there's 5 questions for the 6 prophets. You have question number 6, the comparison between the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation. But then there's also a number 7, which is provide examples of changes each prophet might say need to occur in America today. So here's what you can do with that. You can include that. I'm going to be looking for that in your paragraph you write for your prophet. So when you're doing the 5 questions, make sure to include that, okay? So just like I said, I'm not trying to make it difficult. Just include that into the questions that you answer on each of those prophets. Okay, title page, references, and once again, if you provide references, make sure it's only because you've done a citation in your assignment, and that's it. That's our assignment discussion. I look forward to a good week, and watch those videos. And please reach out to me if you have questions on anything, and we can help you get through this week as well. We're into the 3rd week. That's hard to believe. We're almost halfway through this course, and you guys are doing a great job. And let me know if I can be of any help this week. We'll see you.